Alright, without further ado, we are currently on the fourth research project for the AP English Lit course. Additionally, this is information that can be of use to the AP Capstone students that are going to be using MLA formatting for their papers. Now, first things first. I know this probably isn't the website most of you have spent time seeing. You've probably seen something more akin to... So you're probably more used to seeing things like easybib.com. It's a website and all that's built with the idea of doing research in mind. It's supposed to help you do your citations as far as the works cited page is concerned, but it really doesn't help you at all with the in-text citations. More importantly, there's some intrinsical problems that are built into it. First thing, in order to actually kind of prove this point, I need to get an article, so we'll go to MSN. Yeah, never anything positive on these things. As you can box office. So I take this particular website, copy, come back here, paste, cite it. And it's going to ask me, am I certain that this is the website I want to cite? Yes, I want to cite it. Nope, I'm doing it. I've got a couple things I've selected. Now, let's pause here just for a moment. So, you can see, first and foremost, I've got MLA 8. That means it's the most recent MLA citation style. They've also got MLA 7 programmed in here for some silly reason. It's silly because once 8 comes out, 7 is now no longer the MLA citation style. Any rule that was in 7 that was changed in 8, if you do it like it was done in 7, you're going to get popped for it. So, MLA 8 is what you want. If you're going to use APA, Chicago, whatever, make certain it's, number 1, citing the most relevant thing. Number 2, look at this. It's missing so much information. It's got the website title, it's got the date accessed, but it does not have the date of the article's title. It doesn't have a publisher, electronically published information, or authors. I've got to fill that stuff in if I actually want it. So I continue to the final step. Now here's what I think is happening for many of you. And forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but I think way too many of you see this blank information, you go that the source doesn't actually have that information, you tell it to create the citation, and then I wind up with something that looks like this in the website, in the works cited page. First and foremost, if you do that, then you have completely missed the boat, because you haven't done any sort of deep diving research to put your works cited page together. It asked you for that information because it's necessary to cite the source correctly. So, you're going to dive back into the article. You've got to spend some time here if you actually want to find it. So let me ask you, looking at this, can you spot the author? Now, many of you are going to sit there and go, no, because there's no author right here. But look over here. The name of the piece that this is actually pulled from is called The Wrap. And here's Jeremy Fuster, who is responsible for this particular piece. So I've got Jeremy Fuster. So I'm going to go back to EasyBib, fill it in. Jeremy Fuster. Alright. Then notice, I don't have an article title right now. I need to go back in here. Well, this is the article title. It's not a book, it's an article. So there's my article title. So I'm going to copy it, Control-C, Control-V to make certain it's where it's supposed to be. Now, website title. There's going to be a duplication within this. That's fine. Publisher. Well, these two you're going to have to kind of make up your mind of what you're going to be going from. So, this said it comes from the wrap. I'm going to click on the wrap component of it. And as you see, the wrap is a separate website. And it's completely separate in its functioning and its structure, everything else like that. And this is where we get a lot of these different articles, different bits of information. So essentially what's happening is MSN's actually borrowing from the wrap. See right over here? Does this look familiar? That's our actual original article. MSN's borrowing from the wrap, and they're putting it into their page. Now see, if you would have just gone with this and stared at it, you would have missed the fact that you've got a hyperactive link here so you can actually go and look at the real source. You can actually go physically see it. You can see Jeremy Fuster's here. Here's your author. Copyright. The wrap's here. The wrap's here. We need to go to the wrap if we can and find the source there because they're just borrowing it and moving it over. Note, if we scan this, you don't have a very specific date of publication or anything else like that. You can't just sit on the page and hope that it's going to give you the information. Dig deeper. I dug deeper and I go to this page, and what do I have? I now have the actual citation that I should be making because look at this. Author's name, data publication. I even have time of publication if that mattered. I've got the title for it right here. I've got the actual source and all, the wrap that does it, which contains the editors and people that fact check this information to make certain they knew what they were talking about. And I have a significant better portrayal of the information here because it actually went to where it was written in the first place. So I need to go back to this and make some changes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm taking the URL with me. I'm not using MSN. I'm going to update it. I'm going to go right there. And then I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to see it's November 5th, 2017. So, 05, November 2017. I do not need to put the timestamp. That's unimportant. It's not necessary. I just need the date. The publisher, or the website title, that information. Well, I'm going to put the wrap, because that's the name of the publication source that's there. Then I've got the publisher and sponsor. As far as the publisher is concerned, we go back to this website. The publisher information is right here. It's the wrap. In fact, I mean, it's one of those cases where you want to go down here, you can find out, usually more information about the companies or whatever the case is if you search around a little bit enough. It's usually some sort of requisite. Here we go. Links down here about us, about them. The Wrap Inc. is a leading digital news organization. Wrap Inc. News, yada, 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 yada. It's Wrap Inc. So I would go back and put the wrap, comma, INC, or incorporated, period. And that's how the information would look. Now watch this. Update citation. Look at that citation. Relevant information that if I wanted to go find the source, I could go find the source. That's how you do a works cited entry. Now you may say, but wait, I didn't know that's how a works cited entry looked. Okay, Purdue's Online Writing Lab. Scroll down. All right, see, it has all these different types of sources that are present. Electronic sources, that's what we're working with. So we get into the electronic sources and we scroll down and look for our source. I mean, citing an entire website, you can already see fundamentally this looks different than a lot of your citations have looked. But we're not doing that. Ours could be a page on a website, certainly fits for a case of an article and all on that particular web source, etc. So you can see from this, it's got the article title, it's got the website's name here, they're different things. It's got the date of publication, it's got a URL address right here. Significantly more information than several of y'all have had whenever y'all have done website-based citations. And we can scroll down for them. In a web magazine, feasible to consider it in that exact same guise. Note, it's got similar structures for however things represented here. So what you can do by coming here after you do the easy bib, if you're still insistent on doing that, is you can come here and use it to just find that type of source, find some that are similar, and go, what does it look like? Is it matching up with me? Am I missing stuff? Do I look like I did that incomplete thing where I just let EasyBib skip out and all and actually doing real work? And did I myself do real work? You can't just take things at face value. If you can't find the information you need, I'll be dead honest. If I couldn't actually find this article on the wrap, and I didn't know Jeremy Fuster, he wasn't here, I didn't know who wrote it, and I didn't know when it was written, I'm not using the source because I have no way of knowing when this source actually was put out, whether it's current, relevant data to the time that I'm trying to research or talk about, and I don't know who's responsible for it. I can handle leaving something out, maybe not knowing who's responsible, maybe it's a staff writer, but I'm certainly not going to forgive the lack of data publication. I need to know relevance. I need my audience to know relevance, so that they know my sources and all our stuff that are relevant. As far as getting this into the Works Cited page, this is another problem several of you are having. I'm going to open up a Microsoft Word. Give me a second, it's on my other screen. Importing this in. So, here's the thing. See this? This gives you options for pasting. This, you're going to keep your source formatting. It doesn't do the hanging indentation or anything else like that. If I go here, it's not going to either. But notice the difference. This one, can you see the italics where it says the wrap is still italicized? If I go over here, there goes the italicized. If I don't have the italics, I'm committing plagiarism. So I want the italics to remain. Second, Works Cited would appear at the top of the page, and I've mentioned before how to do the hanging indentation. This is important and needs to appear starting with the next assignment. You go onto the ruler, you see this little arrow right here that's pointing up, move it over 1/2 inch, and that's how you get a hanging indentation. Now, this would be on a regular page that we would have for the paper, so we'd have to, of course, go through and do the augmented layout. Turn that to 0. Turn that to Times New Roman. 12-point font. Double spaced. Note, I have no weird, goofy highlights on this. I don't have something that looks like it came from a different source. More importantly, this is information that can be found. Finally, when it comes to doing your citations, once you have the next several citations, they're alphabetical going by what's against this left-hand margin. So let's say my next particular source, and please don't let it hyperlink. If you hit return, it hyperlinks, hit your backspace, it'll undo the hyperlink, turn it back to normal. Anyway, let's say my next author that I decided to type in is, last name is, I don't know, Ant-Man. Well, if Ant-Man's the last name of the person that I'm citing, they would actually go first. Their source would go here. So it's alphabetical. You may have to do a little rearranging as you go through it. Okay? So that's citations. Purdue's Online Writing Lab will go through all citations, every style of MLA citation. For you, those of you watching this for the Capstone course, all you have to do to swap over to APA citation style is you click on right here, it says Research and Citation, takes you back to this page, and it's got the APA guide here to kind of walk you through it. Blow out the citation style, and this is here as well. This also helps out not only the Capstone people, but this also helps out those of you taking, say, a dual enrollment history or government or something of the sort, because only English excuse me, uses MLA citation style for the most part. It's kind of discipline specific. APA tends to go towards the science, mathematics, the social sciences like psychology, sociology, history, those things, and all sometimes will play into it. There's a couple other citation styles, Chicago, Turabian, and whatnot, but I'm not covering those for a high school-based course just because we're not going to open up that can of worms. But all you need really to do citations is located on this page. Like if I go back over here, several of you had problems with in-text citations. Note, basic in-text citation rules. The source information required in a parenthetical citation depends on 1, source medium, and 2, upon the source's entry on the works cited page. In fact, the works cited page really is kind of the guide for it, because whatever is on that works cited page that's against the left-hand margin, that's what's going to go inside that parentheses to indicate the source. So, first things first, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I want to point out, so here I have a direct quotation that's within a sentence. And let's say this is the only indication that I'm actually using that source and all in that paragraph. It's not a whole paragraph where Burke is being used. Well, note how it works. Human beings have been described as a symbol using animals. Open parentheses, last name Burke, page number, close parentheses, period. Now, you could technically do it like it is here, where the name of the author is here, and then you have the page number presented within the parentheses. I'm encouraging, in fact, I'm insisting on us not doing that, just because I've run across professors in the past in a college situation where they've still not understood that that rule is okay, and they've tried to fail students for that. So it's just easier to go ahead and put the citation in, even if the name's mentioned within the onset of the quotation. Removes confusion, and it makes the 1-to-1 ratio that's required for the parenthetical citation and the citation on the works cited page to match up. But note, Burke's here. Here's that source and all as it would appear on the works cited page. Burke is what's Burke. Not language or symbolic action or anything random. It's literally Burke. Many of you put Othello inside of the in-text citation for the Othello paper. Sorry, it has an author, Shakespeare. Back, scene, line number. Make certain you come here to look. Make certain you're certain about what you're doing. In-text citations for print sources with no known author. Note, the title of the article is against the left-hand margin and the hanging citation. That's what goes inside here. And you can still put page numbers. Classic delivery works. Don't really have to worry about that as much. Authors with same last names. Here's some suggestions on that. If you have 2 authors with the same last name, you'd put their first initial and then the last name and then page number. Works and all by multiple authors. If it's just 2, you put both of the names inside of it, and it matches again to this. If it's a case where it's 3 or more, it deals with that as well. Multiple works by the same author. The author's last name would be against the left-hand margin traditionally, and then what would happen is the citation would include the works and title inside of the parenthetical as opposed to the author's last name, so you don't get them confused. I also noticed several of you putting several citations into your works cited pages for Othello. You went through and cited each act or section that you're borrowing from as if it was an individual article within Othello. It's all Othello. They're not articles. They're not separate entities and all that can be pulled out. You would do one citation for Othello, and then you would just do the clarified references whenever you did the in-text citations. This page contains every single thing you need to know about correctly doing an in-text citation, and I've just clarified my point in the fact that the author, or the cited information, is going to go in the parentheses with the page number or whatever identifying information is there. Absolutely imperative. Additionally, in-text citations, other bits of knowledge about it. If you're going to be providing a quote that is just, 1 to 3 sentences in length, that's going to be an in-text citation where after the very last part of that string of lines, close the quote out. The only end punctuation that would go in the parentheses, inside the quotations, if there's going to be any end punctuation, would be an exclamation point or a question mark. Then do your parenthetical citation, and after that, put your period. That indicates that that citation applies to all of the sentences that are connected together by the quotation marks. In a blocked quote, that is 4 or more lines, which you should not be doing in a 5-page paper. It's just not enough space for that, and most of the time y'all are just doing it to try and cover page lengths and all that, and make up for the fact that y'all really just aren't doing the simplistic work of actually doing the deep research. Bad idea. It's more work to do it that way. You have to have 2 lines of commentary for every 1 line of direct quotation. That's not going to make for a very healthy paragraph. It's more beneficial to just go ahead and approach the assignment, like I said, historical period, then, a couple of paragraphs of examples of it impacting and possibly being used by the author would make for a much more meaningful conversation. Would hit the length and wouldn't look like you're trying to compensate by putting a block quote in there. But if you have that block quote style citation taking place, what happens is you would offset that block quote and did 1 inch on each sides for formatting, so that's how you know as you read along. It's a blocked quote from a source. There's no quotation marks around that particular quote. The blocking indicates that it's a quote. When you hit the period for the last bit of punctuation at the end of the quote that you're putting in there, you do the parenthetical citation after the period. And there's no period after the citation then. The reason is you're suggesting an entire block of chunk of text is from that source. Same rule applies whenever you're paraphrasing through almost an entire paragraph. The parenthetical goes at the end of the paragraph after the period. But please note, there is no reason to be paraphrasing an entire paragraph. The proof, your in-text information, your text evidence, if you're paraphrasing, yes, it's going to occur for a small period of time, but the whole point is that you're going to have a conversation. You're going to have an argument that you begin the conversation with. That's you, not them. They will then pop in, and then the rest is going to be commentary about what the source information brings to the conversation to prove that you know what you're talking about, that your argument's valid. That's all you.